You know, since we were last on, the world has really gone to hell in a handbasket, hasn't it?
They're back.
And this is the first, not necessarily the news of the 90s.
1990.
Who's in? Who's out?
News.
I'm exhausted.
Not necessarily the news 1990.
Whatever that means.
There's just so much to assimilate.
Truly remarkable.
As long as they're here, we're here. Not necessarily the news 1990. Coming up next on HBO.
We've been blessed in this administration by a good team who don't like the game. Who's up, who's down, who's winning, who's losing, who's looking good, who's in, who's out. Who's up, who's down, who's up, who's down, who's winning, who's losing, who's looking good. Who's looking down? Who's in? Who's out? Who's in? Down. Who's down? Who's in? Who's out? Who's in? Who's out? Who's in? Who's out?
Are you joking?
Not necessarily the news 1990 with Tom Parks and Annabelle Gurwitch. Contributing editors Merril Markoe and Richard Rosen. Featuring Jon Ross and special guest star Lucy Webb. Brought to you tonight by Perrier Classic, for those who like the taste of benzene. And by Unwed Mother 100s. You've come a long way, baby. And now, not necessarily the news, 1990.
Good evening. I'm Tom Parks.
And I'm Annabelle Gurwitch, and this is the first, not necessarily the news of the 90s.
You know, since we were last on, the world has really gone to hell in a handbasket, hasn't it?
How can you say that, Tom? We've got democracy and freedom breaking out in practically everywhere. The oppressed are rising up and overthrowing their oppressors. We've got glasnost and perestroika and disarmament and a new concern for the environment and an optimism about the future that rivals any period in human history. And all this since we were on last.
Okay, you made your point, but you forgot one little thing. The baseball season may be delayed. I'm bummed.
We'll have more on the 90s, but first, our top story.
President Bush was embarrassed once again today as he took another phone call from an imposter.
Please hold for Commander Cody.
Hello.
This is Commander Cody of the Intergalactic Space Force. Commander, how are you, sir?
The White House said the president will talk to anyone at any time if it leads to the release of the hostages.
And in the wake of his recent defeat in the Nicaraguan elections, Daniel Ortega has returned to his former job, teaching the lambada at Managua's largest disco.
Meanwhile, the big remaining question is, what will happen to the Contras? Contra spokesmen say they are currently considering offers from the government of El Salvador, the IRA, and the temp agency, Kelly Girl. Freed African National Congress leader Nelson Mandela hasn't missed a beat leading his country's fight against apartheid. It hasn't been so easy on his wife, Winnie, who said, quote, "The man spent the last 27 years in jail. I'm exhausted." Later in the show, we'll be talking to live none other than General Manuel Noriega, who's in custody waiting to go on trial for drug trafficking. Here he is, drying out and getting in shape. Or something. That'll be later in the show.
In Moscow, there's been some concern over the extraordinary popularity of the new McDonald's which opened there recently. It seems that everyone is going to McDonald's instead of the traditional points of interest, like Lenin's tomb. But that was until recently, when Lenin's tomb added a Pizza Hut. And as the nation enters week 5 of the Trump divorce story, the New York City Sanitation Department reports that a barge loaded with newspaper accounts of the affair has been turned away from several dump sites on the Gulf Coast. And after years of complaints by non-smokers, cigarette smoking has been banned on all commercial domestic flights. Of course, not everyone is happy with this new ruling.
In sports, baseball owners have vowed to open the season, if necessary, with non-union players. And in Long Beach, California today, investigators for the Drug Enforcement Agency announced a record seizure of over 4.5 billion tons of heroin. Broken down, that would be 1 ton for every person on the planet. Authorities say it's just the tip of the iceberg. We'll be back after this.
A wonderful bird is the pelican. Its beak can hold more than its belly can. He holds enough fish in his beak to last him a week. I'll be damned if I know how the hell he can.
Elizabeth Taylor's Passion.
There once was a man from Nantucket.
Available at fine stores everywhere.
Dire predictions about global warming have the experts divided. Will it heat up and get very dry, as some predict, or will it be more humid, like a tropical rainforest? Find out all this week on the new Serious Geraldo.
Is your teen defiant, depressed, dependent on drugs or alcohol? Is your teen coming in late, falling behind, in trouble with the law, or failing in school? At White Oak, we can help.
There's nothing wrong with you, Todd. It's your parents who are nuts. You ever heard the term control freak?
Our trained counselors know how to reach troubled teens. They know how to get through and get results.
Why listen to them? Their life's a total mess, yet they pick on you.
White Oak, a resident psychiatric care facility where troubled teens can reach a new understanding in a controlled and non-threatening environment.
Smile, lie, kiss their asses. If your folks can afford to send you here, they must be loaded.
The White Oak Teen Program, where understanding makes a difference.
Get what you can. In a few years, you'll be out of there and screw 'em.
Now, let's look at what the 90s have in store for us. In geopolitics, whatever that means, the reunification of Germany will finally be accomplished. It will be a gradual process, just as the leaders promised. First will come the reunification of East and West Germany, then the reunification of the Sudetenland, and finally the reunification of Poland, Russia, Denmark, Belgium, and France.
In the 1990s, today's trend towards aggressive, gritty journalism will continue and soon become the standard for all news reporters.
Mr. President, how much does an airplane like that cost the American taxpayer? Mr. President, hey, Bush! Answer the question.
However, this rather abrasive style will not be without its repercussions.
All right, that's enough, boys. No more pictures, please. Come on, fellas. That's it. You gotta go. Right this way. Cut out.
In Congress, legislators will rely increasingly on advertising to focus public attention on the crucial issues of the decade.
It's been 5 years since Congressman Joe Slauson got his last 35% salary increase. 5 long, hard years when Joe had to pay for 2 expensive houses, one in Washington and another in his home district, plus the expense of sending his kids to exclusive private schools, hosting lavish parties, and running for re-election. How will Joe Slauson make ends meet on only $121,000 a year? He will be forced to accept bribes from special interest groups unless you help. Write to Save the Congress, Washington, D.C.
The 1990s will bring a cornucopia of technological advances into our daily lives.
Coming!
Foremost among these advances will be the placement into every American home of something that's been talked about for years. The picture phone.
As for the economy, look for these important trends. Sadly, as robots take over from human beings in the automobile industry, millions will be thrown out of work. Happily, they will find work making robots. Meanwhile, on Wall Street, Drexel Burnham Lambert will rebound from scandal and bankruptcy by opening the first brokerage office inside the walls of a federal prison.
Fax these reports to the main office right away, will you?
Yes, sir.
And in real estate, roving gangs of first-time home buyers unable to enter the inflated market will take matters into their own hands. Other things will happen in the 1990s, and when they do, you can say, "We told you so." Annabelle?
Coming up, an exclusive interview with President Bush's Chief of Staff, John Sununu, who some say is the most powerful man in Washington. He's with us live, but apologizes for his behavior because he came here straight from the dentist where he was given a great deal of nitrous oxide or laughing gas. The effect of the gas should wear off before the show is over. We really hope so. We'll be right back.
Is this me touching you or you touching me?
I don't know where I end.
And you begin?
I think I'm touching you, but maybe it's someone else.
Maybe you're touching someone else, or maybe someone else is touching me.
Maybe you are someone else.
Then neither of us is touching me.
Confusion by Calvin Klein.
What can you say when someone offers you drugs?
You can say no thanks. I don't do drugs.
Just say no thanks. Message paid for by the Committee for a Kinder, Gentler War on Drugs.
Citing a recent survey showing 1 in 4 young black males are currently in prison or on parole, President Bush has proposed that all minority males be imprisoned automatically at the age of 18. He would then use the tremendous savings in police and court costs to pay for scholarships for the men when they are released 7 years later. While admitting that some innocent individuals would go to jail, he argued that their presence would provide a sorely needed positive role model for the other inmates. He added that while criminals would be off the streets, the scholarship would be a wonderful opportunity for all the men, and the whole program would cost the taxpayers nothing.
And now with a special report designed to help us interpret and better comprehend the recent tumultuous events in Eastern Europe, political analyst and noted gemologist Merril Markoe.
Thanks, Annabelle. Well, I don't know about you, but I've been having an increasingly difficult time keeping my tumultuous foreign upheaval straight. It's the same problem I often have with my crumbling Latin American dictatorships. There's just so much to assimilate. Just when you think you figured out Armenia, you realize that what you were talking about was Albania. There's Budapest, there's Bucharest. It's just a lot of stuff to remember. And then it dawned on me that the reason I can't fully grasp everything is that it doesn't affect me personally. It doesn't affect my life, which is why I went to some trouble to develop the following system of political analysis, which I believe provides us with a way of assimilating the material more easily. Let's watch.
From Romania.
Hi, Merril. I'm Ron from Romania. What do you say you and I blow this joint and go to Bucharest? Dictator Nicolae Ceausescu is a dead guy, but I promise you, baby, I'm not.
Who runs the government there now?
The National Salvation Front, at the moment, headed by Ion Iliescu. But don't you worry your pretty little head about it, though. Because if there's a military takeover, that's when I take over. Call me.
From Czechoslovakia.
Yo, Merril, I'm Chip from Czechoslovakia. As you might realize, Czechoslovakia was one of the first countries to bust out of the iron grip of communism. Well, we had to get out of there, man. Damn.
You're the country that has the playwright for the president?
Yeah, that's it. Václav Havel. We're about to have our first real presidential election since 1948. You know, we've been hurt before, but we think maybe now that we're ready to love again.
Czechoslovakia, huh?
Yeah.
From Armenia.
Hi, Merril. I'm Troy from Armenia. Brewski?
Oh, please.
When I take you across the border to Nagorno-Karabakh, which I believe rightfully belongs to Armenia.
Thanks.
Even though it is part of Azerbaijan, which is primarily populated by Shiite Muslims, we're in a keg and party down. Armenia rules, all right.
From Hungary.
Hey, Merril. I'm Bud from Budapest. We Hungarians consider ourselves trailblazers. We've been experimenting with capitalism for over 5 years. And the reform system's not unlike the one that you'll see in Poland. But high debt rates are causing us to undergo some considerable belt tightening. But I think you'll find our progress steady and slow.
From Bulgaria.
Whoa. Hi, Merril. I'm Billy from Bulgaria.
Nice to meet you.
Hold it right there, Merril. This is ridiculous.
Wait a minute, it's Billy from Bulgaria. Yes, and go ahead, Billy.
Well, you know our new Prime Minister, Andrei Lukyanov?
Billy?
Yeah?
Take a hike.
No. You leave Billy alone. Don't you think these people have enough problems with their political systems without you interfering this way?
Merril, having these cute guys read this stuff is not a system of political analysis. It's sexist, degrading, and insulting.
Just like the nightly news. Anyway, it works. That's the main thing. Test me.
Okay. Armenia.
Troy, party down. It's a border war with the Azerbaijanis, most of whom are Shiite Muslims, over the territory of Nagorno-Karabakh. Brewski?
Okay, it worked. You're right. I apologize.
So can Billy please continue now?
No one cares about Bulgaria. Annabelle?
Thank you, Tom. And will the gentleman from Budapest please see me after the show? Now this.
You're lost.
So are you, Miss Daisy. So are you.
Why didn't you listen to me back there?
I did listen to you, Miss Daisy, and that's why we're lost.
You missed the turn.
You didn't say anything about no turn, Miss Daisy.
Of course I did.
When?
Just now. I said you missed the turn. Why are you stopping here? I didn't tell you to stop.
I know, Miss Daisy, I know. But you see, it's 1990.
And now, an editorial reply by Donald R. Goodson, spokesman for People on the Right, a lobbying group. Mr. Goodson, if you wish to reply to one of our editorials, write to us here at the station.
X-18. I will refer to you as Dan, since that is your Earth name. We're very pleased with the progress that you've been making on the planet Earth. The council of our planet Citron has sent me here to discuss some minor details in your programming.
Well, let me say it's certainly been an interesting year.
Go on.
It's been a tremendously exciting and challenging time.
Excellent, Dan. Excellent. However, there are a few details that need straightening out. Things are going exactly as planned. And while you becoming vice president to a superpower nation on this planet makes things easier for the invasion, it wasn't in our original plans or your programming.
I just took that on as something that I wanted to do, and of course I knew a lot about it.
Negative. It was not in your orders. Do you realize that your vapid expressions and your lack of knowledge could have tipped an Earthling off? Your brain was never programmed with intellect. You saw what happened to the Arsenio model. Do you realize what could have happened to our plans if you had been caught?
Well, I had a concept of what would happen.
Concept or not, it was a dangerous risk, but fortunately one that has worked out to our benefit. Look at you. It's apparent to anyone that you were never programmed with a personality. Has anyone been suspicious about your looks?
People refer to a little bit of graying in my hair, a few more wrinkles around the eyes.
We'll fix that. The X-18 models had their imperfections. I'm sorry we couldn't get you a better face. Check your mouth, Dan. The metal is showing through. The council has decided to recall your android wife, Marilyn. She and the android children are not serving any use to our purpose.
I don't know if they're useless.
You seem to forget that I'm the senior officer on this mission, and I'll make the decisions.
Clearly, I have certain responsibilities.
Perhaps, but not to them. The orders stand. Their bodies will dissolve in 48 hours, and you will dispose of them in a local water supply and continue your communiques to our planet.
That's the most important thing.
Agreed. Now, let's review your directives. First,
I've got the Space Council.
Second,
I have responsibilities to travel.
Third,
I have responsibilities to travel.
And last,
I have responsibilities to travel.
Ah, I see the ship has returned for me. I know that you are lonely and you want to return home. But your work here will not go unrewarded, Dan. Soon, we will invade the planet Earth and bring others like you. You are a Citron hero, my friend, and we thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor Yokomichi and Mrs. Yokomichi, for receiving Marilyn and me and our delegation. And being the politician that I have been for almost 13 years now, I would like to note for the record that we brought this weather with us. Governor, it's a great honor and pleasure.
I'll be honest with you. I like fur. I belong to the ACLU. I give generously to the ASPCA. For goodness sakes, I even voted for Walter Mondale. But I adore fur. And that's why I buy my garments from Mr. Pierre Peters. Every item in his Eleganza collection has been pre-trashed to take the guilt out of wearing fur. Where else can you choose from a tasteful selection of blood-stained mink, spat upon ermine, ink-spattered sable, and slashed rabbit. Every beautiful garment looks just like it's already been violated by animal rights activists. You know, I wish I were strong enough to resist the temptation to drape my body in the skins of cruelly slaughtered innocent animals. But I'm not. What can I say? Buying an expensive fur with pieces of bubblegum stuck on it already gives me a good feeling. And to me, that's priceless.
Mr. Pierre Peters, furs with a conscience.
Harry, are you all right?
It's not nutty.
Sound like you got something stuck in your throat.
It's not nutty.
Well, you sound awful. Like you got something caught in your windpipe.
It's not nutty.
Well, if you say so. By the way, how was that new ice cream? What's it called? Harry? Harry.
As everyone knows, nowhere in America can you find as many, well, really crazy people as on the streets of New York City. This fact may enhance that city's local color, but Richard Rosen is standing by live in New York City to show us that it can make a street reporter's job next to impossible. Richard?
Tom, the sad truth is that there's a huge number of deranged individuals in this town who regard the presence of a television camera as an invitation to act out, or at the very least to wave like maniacs at their mothers. You know, it's virtually impossible for someone like me to get through a stand-up without being interrupted, without being pestered and hounded. Without fail, someone comes up and batters me before I can finish. It'll only be a matter of seconds, I can assure you, before some screwball fires a stream of obscenities at me, or some crackpot comes up and asks me for directions back to the planet Globar. Tom, the streets of this deteriorating city are just teeming with assorted nuts, one of whom at any moment is going to come up and just bug the hell out of me. Tom, it just makes me so damn mad.
Rich?
Yes, Tom.
I was just going to suggest maybe you picked the wrong street corner to prove your point or something.
No, Tom, please, just give me a second or two. This is a breaking story.
Well, we got some pretty pressing things to get to here. Can we check back with you in a little while?
If you insist, but get back to me soon, because I can assure you, I can guarantee you, that at any moment some dangerously demented soul, some eloquent psychotic is going to be hectoring me.
Thanks, Rich. Just stay put. Annabelle?
New film footage of the Japanese surrender aboard the USS Missouri, which ended World War II, were declassified today, shedding new light on the post-war era.
I now invite the representatives of the Emperor of Japan and the Japanese government and the Japanese Imperial General Headquarters to sign the instrument of surrender at the places indicated. You agree to the unconditional surrender of all Imperial forces.
Okay.
And you agree that Emperor Hirohito is not a god.
Yeah.
And that you will reindustrialize immediately, so that in 50 years you will dominate the U.S. car and electronics markets, buy up all our real estate, and still have a trade surplus which can only be balanced by an avalanche of Japanese tourists who will agree to overrun our country.
Sign it.
Where do you read this?
Yeah, I guess we shut down.
Yes, sir, we sure did.
Residents of Los Angeles have been up in arms for several weeks now over the aerial spraying of malathion, a chemical used to kill the Mediterranean fruit fly. In response to the public outcry, the state has agreed to switch to the equally effective but more popular pesticide, Perrier. Still no progress reported in negotiations to end the Greyhound strike. Greyhounds have been off the job since February, and attendance is said to be way down.
And in Israel, at another contentious meeting of the ruling Likud party, it was In Israel, it was politics as usual.
Plans to burn 300 tons of marijuana went awry today as wind-blown sparks ignited a nearby oil field. From there, the fire spread to a tire dump the size of Wisconsin. Officials say the tire fire could burn for 100 years, poisoning the groundwater, warming the atmosphere, and melting the polar ice caps. But say the authorities, at least we don't have to worry about that marijuana.
Coming up, long lines for vowels in Poland.
I get so emotional sometimes. Why do I get this way?
At My Law, we understand women. We know that premenstrual syndrome is triggered by a complex biochemical process inside your body. And that's why Midol PMS is...
Bullshit! You want to know why I get so emotional? I'll tell you why. To begin with, I make 51 cents for every dollar a man makes. I've got to go out there, earn a living, then come home and do all the housework. My career advancement and my personal happiness depend on my ability to keep myself looking like a 19-year-old model. If I don't have an orgasm, I'm frigid. And if I do, I'm a whore. And on top of all of that, I have to go through childbirth, which the Bible tells me is my punishment for causing the fall of man.
Midol PMS, a temporary partial solution to a tiny biochemical component of what is clearly a much, much larger problem.
By day, he's a well-respected professor of constitutional law. By night, he's the stern but lovable patriarch of an upscale homeless family.
I'm home. Just kidding.
Yes, just as The Cosby Show helped you deny the bitter truth of black poverty in the 80s, NBC proudly brings you a new show to deny reality in the 90s.
Pop, someone's at the door.
What door?
Gimme Shelter, Thursday.
Once again, let's go back to the streets of New York City and Richard Rosen. You still fighting him off, Rich?
Tom, I'm really scared. As you can see, I'm about to be attacked by the lunatic behind me who...
Richard, all I see on my monitor is a woman with a shopping bag.
How naive of you, Tom. But then you're in California in an air-conditioned newsroom eating pasta primavera.
Hey, I'm not eating pasta primavera. I'm anchoring the show.
All you have to do, I'm sure, is ask one of your pretty assistants to bring you some pasta primavera. Look, I'm the one who's alone on the streets of New York with a woman who is monitoring my thoughts with that surveillance device in her shopping bag. Go on, get out of here. Tom, are you still there? Tom?
Yeah, I'm here, Richard. I'm right here.
Tom, she's relaying my thoughts to CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, where, as you're well aware, Tom, my frontal lobes have been the subject of a government investigation dating back to the late 50s. Tom, do you see that trash can behind me?
Yeah?
Can you hear what it's saying about me? Can you?
Thanks for that report, Richard.
Tom, how many times do I have to tell you to use my code name?
Your code name?
Yes, my code name.
Oh, yeah, your code name. I forgot. I have so many code names to keep track of. What is it again? Refresh my memory.
Falcon.
Yeah, Falcon.
Check Timberwolf.
Timberwolf.
Tom, I think it's time we use the safe phone. Tom, there's a new member of our team I'd like you to meet over here.
He's talking into his shoe.
Well, Jim, community leaders and neighborhood officials will be sitting down over the next couple of weeks to discuss the referendum, which undoubtedly will have an effect.
I have Timberwolf on the line for you.
Would you please stand away?
Just speaking to the magic chalice.
Undoubtedly. Who's off? Jocko, will you leave me alone?
Thanks for that, Rich. That's a great report. Annabelle?
Our NNTN futurists compiled this short film depicting the extraordinary changes we can expect as we head into the next millennium.
In the future, services will be enhanced. Specially trained dairy dispatchers will hand-deliver items to individual homes in these miraculous, reusable, resanitizable containers. In the future, computers will be replaced by technologically advanced machines that will allow you to print directly on paper, eliminating the need for bulky and expensive electronic equipment. Ingeniously drawing energy from the user, the device will be cheaper and will protect information from dangerous power surges. In communication, call waiting will be made obsolete. To deal with multiple calls, a self-acting switching device will sense incoming calls and automatically send out a signal alerting the caller that you are speaking on another line without ever interrupting your conversation. The world of entertainment will profit as a new generation of interactive television will use high-quality sound to stimulate vivid, three-dimensional images inside the viewer's mind.
You double-crossed me for the last time.
Incredibly, these images will be unique to each individual viewer. Engineers using space-age technology will design automobiles which are virtually invulnerable, offering greater safety and comfort.
Our experts have also predicted widespread changes in our way of government. For instance, laws will be enacted that will make it necessary for a president to consult with Congress before invading a foreign country. And in the future, lying to Congress will be considered a crime. Truly remarkable. We'll be right back.
I'm telling you, this baby runs like a dream. Plus, you got low mileage, new paint, new tires, and if you don't take it, someone else will, believe me. I'm slashing the price. 4,000 rubles, all I ask.
1,000 rubles? But then I get nozzled down the street. How about 800?
You drive a hard bargain, it's a deal, tovarich.
Minutes, 37 seconds to go.
The game is not over.
Attention, fishermen. Does the thought of cleaning your catch at the end of the day make you wish you weren't so darned lucky? Are you tired of all the hacking and chopping? When you fillet a fish, does it always come out looking like this? Do you sometimes feel just like giving up? Well, those days are gone forever with the new Ginsu Bushwhacker. Watch as the Bushwhacker's patented blade cuts through this blue fish like butter. And just look at it fillet. But that's not all. The Bushwhacker also chops, slices, and even cuts through red tape. Order yours now, and we'll send you this handsome one-piece carry-all absolutely free. Send $19.95 to Bushwhacker, P.O. Box 1990, Kennebunkport, Maine.
Remember the attack on Panama? And the subsequent looting? Well, that was me! And I still got dozens of brand new refrigerators ready to go at low prices. Who am I? I'm Panama John! I'm the guy to know. For TV sets, washer dryers, toaster ovens, hi-fi stereo equipment, refrigerators, I got it all. Here, let me help you. Just look for me, Panama Joe, the guy with the refrigerator on his back.
Panama Joe, the guy with the refrigerator on his back.
Well, for some reason, Richard Rosen has asked us to go back to him again on the streets of New York City. What is it this time, Richard? Or should I say Falcon?
Tom, I really had you going there, didn't I? I had you guys going. You've probably already booked a room for me at the Betty Ford Center.
That was a joke?
No, Tom, not a joke. I was just trying to make a point, a very real point about the pathos here on the streets of New York. And I didn't mean to alarm you, really.
Well, you certainly did have us going there. We were concerned. I see you've moved to a different street corner.
Oh, I'm just waiting for a phone call. There it is now. It's the president. Hello, Mr. President. Yes, hi.
He's on the
This is
shoe
Falcon.
again.
Yes, thanks for getting back to me so promptly.
Thank you, Richard. Annabelle.
Yes, hi.
This just in.
Yes.
New Czechoslovakian president, playwright Václav Havel, today announced the first of a series of laws aimed at restricting the rights of producers, publishers, and directors to edit, restage, or in any way change a single word of what a writer writes. The penalty for doing so? Death. And responding to an ever-widening crisis, Soviet President Gorbachev has announced Lithuanian troops are being sent south to restore order in Azerbaijan, while Azerbaijani troops are being sent north to restore order in Lithuania.
And due to heavy demand for tickets, 3 more dates have been added to the Nelson and the Mandelas tour. In spite of early resistance to its announced rate hike, the post office said today that sales of the new 30-cent stamp featuring a naked LaToya Jackson are going well. And now, as promised, from somewhere in the state of Florida, we're not exactly sure where, it's a secret, our exclusive live interview with General Manuel Noriega. Are we set? Oh, there you are, General. You look good. How are they treating you down there? From where we sit, you look pretty comfortable.
It looks so comfortable from where you sit, as you say, because they stick me in front of this pretty lake and these pretty trees, and they point the camera, and sure, it looks pretty nice. But you turn that camera around, and you see something to make your blood boil, senor. The food is worse than dog food.
The food?
I wouldn't feed my dog the food they feed me, and I've got proof of these filthy conditions. I've got photographs. Here, photographs. Let me show you.
General, what are you talking? You're a dictator. What about the people of Panama?
Wait, I've got better.
General, what about the people of... Don't put the phone down. General Noriega. General Noriega. Sir, pick up the phone.
I can't find a real good one anyway. The food stinks, the guards are cool to me, I can't have visitors, I can't make phone calls.
You're a prisoner.
The laundry is done only once a week.
You killed people.
The air conditioning doesn't work. I hate my prison uniform. I can't wear red underwear. Do you understand?
He's talking about his underwear.
Red is not my color.
This guy sounds like a broken record.
I hate red.
Annabelle?
And now here with some amazing psychic predictions is correspondent and renowned psychic Merril Markoe. Now, Merril, I didn't know that you were a psychic.
Yes, I am. That's how I knew to show up here today.
Wow. Now, how does that happen? Does it just come to you, or do you meditate, or...?
Well, I kind of go into a trance. Probably not totally unlike the one you're in when you do your hair. You know, I'm the one who's on record for the last 9 years in a row as predicting that the Academy Awards were going to run long.
That's incredible, Merril. Now, I hear that you have some predictions for the 90s for us.
Yes, I do. I'll get right to them. In world politics, I predict in 1992, life is going to be discovered elsewhere in our solar system. And on the day these alien beings first make contact, the front page of the headline of USA Today will read, "What condiments America likes." It's going to have a pie chart showing that we still prefer ketchup to mustard, almost 2 to 1.
The 80s saw the addition to fashionable restaurant menus of edible flowers, and at the same time a general reduction in the use of fatty meats. The 90s will see for the first time widespread use of fatty meats as a centerpiece. Lovely pork butt and beef flank bouquets will grace the tables of important restaurants from coast to coast. After a decade in which every possible cuisine and foodstuff became hip and trendy, the 90s will be the decade in which Wolfgang Puck opens a restaurant featuring the last remaining available food not previously utilized as a trend in the 80s. Songbirds. Look for tempting fillet of sparrow, mesquite grilled wren, and pan-fried robin steak to delight the palates of gourmet diners everywhere.
In show business, I predict that a woman will be found living in a basement in Santa Monica. She will be made entirely of the cast-off body parts of Jane Fonda and Cher. Kind of cute. She'll probably get her own cable access show. In personal hygiene, I predict that the 90s will see an exciting development in hair care products with the arrival of a new product especially designed for men who wear that one hair that they pull back from the front and then they wrap it all around. The new product is going to feature special plumping agents that will increase the volume and weight of a single strand of hair hundreds of times until it's the thickness and consistency of the kind of rope that's used to anchor battleships. The only downside of new Hawser head shampoo will be that the man who uses it is going to require a neck brace to hold his head up. In movies, I predict the trend toward the exploitation of sentimental national holidays, as seen in movies like the slasher films Halloween and Silent Night, Deadly Night, will reach a final low point when Roger Corman releases the film entitled Easter. You won't believe who's rising this time. Picketers from coast to coast are going to protest that.
In fashion, the 80s had all of us gals and even some of the guys wearing shoulder pads. Those will be out for the 90s, but my advice is save the pads, because the 90s will see a decade when the fashion conscious will wear really big knees.
And finally, in recent months, we've seen the replacement of Jane Pauley by Deborah Norville and the replacement of Kathleen Sullivan by Paula Zahn. This whole blonde replacement deal is a trend that's going to dominate for the rest of the decade when, I predict, there will be an attractive-looking blonde woman waiting in the wings to replace every man, woman, and child in North America.
Wait, Merril, that's pretty bizarre. Do you mean everyone everywhere or just everyone on television or everyone on network news? Folks, I don't believe in psychics, but I believe if she's going to make predictions like that, they can't be that general.
Everyone, Tom. No one is safe. She's not kidding, Tom. Hold on to your place at the desk if you know it's good for you. I think you're worried about nothing. From not necessarily the news, good night.
This portion of Not Necessarily the News, 1990, has been brought to you by delicious, expensive Grey Poupon mustard, where we say,
pardon me, sir, do you have any Grey Poupon?
And by Palestinian Express. Don't leave the homeland without it.
The captain has requested that all crew and staff be seated. We will be landing shortly. The captain has requested that all personnel please deplane. Maintenance has to come on board. The captain has announced that he will have to turn off the engines unless everyone deplanes immediately. That's everyone.